And good morning, Gers TV. My name's Simon Leslie, and I've got my pal Graham Hanna from Belfast today. I'm not going to kid you on, this is a hard one because everybody's so down with last night's result and more so performance. Graham, how's things, mate?
Good morning, but things weren't good, clearly.
I think the biggest issue that people have got is things are the same. I don't see a lot of change. I don't see much difference.
No, just as we're speaking, a pile of seagulls have just landed in next door's back garden. Yes, the issue for me is when McInnes was confirmed, you weren't expecting expansive, open, attacking football and something that he's not. But when you think of a McInnes team in Hearts last season, you think that they're organised, disciplined, they know the roles, direct football, committed football, players who are well drilled, know what they're doing, players giving their all. But yeah, the issue is that nothing's changed. Baffling team selections, no control whatsoever. He's still finding his way. We're about 6.5 weeks in since the start of pre-season. Right now, there's nothing to show for it. I know August was going to be bumpy. Very few people would have expected everything to be firing on all cylinders at this stage. Still building a squad, getting the team together. But given that we're now 2 league games in, we're halfway through our Europa League tie, and it's really not looking good. Already pressure's on the manager. That's not good for anybody. It shows the extent of the challenge. I think we now have 4 cup games, 4 cup ties before we'll next play again in the league. Going out of the Europa League is unthinkable on Thursday. Right now, would anybody say we're strong favourites at home to St Mirren in the League Cup? And that's a bad indictment of where we're at just now.
Yeah, also they have I have to acknowledge this is going to happen today. There's a big AGM taking place in the Radisson Blue Hotel in Glasgow in a few hours' time. The shareholders won't be happy. The chairman clearly knows what's going on. He's there every other week. This is going to be an interesting day for Rangers supporters, because I would imagine that their support are going to make it clear they're not happy with recruitment, and that is something that we have to have addressed quickly.
Yeah, you're right. It hasn't been good enough. The issue for me is that Kavanagh and his associates, they're now onto their 3rd manager, and
Can he keep changing?
Well, they can't, but if it keeps going wrong,
I know, mate. That's a hard one.
We need to put things into perspective. So it's not good. We've dropped points in our 2 league games already, but things would need to get much worse for anything to properly change, I think. But look at last season, things can quickly unravel. It's not for putting money in. It's not for the want of putting money in. Since Kavanagh has come in, you're talking upwards of maybe around 55, 60 million spent on the squad. What is it show for?
I don't think we're any better off. That's the problem I've got with that, mate. So no. I think the AGM, I'll try and do something later on about it, because I think the fans will voice their opinion on that. I want to go back to what you mentioned a minute ago. Team selections. What the hell's going on with these team selections? I couldn't fathom out. Forget about last week's team selections that I couldn't fathom out. Yesterday, I couldn't understand the selections of the defence mainly, what we were trying to do. And later on in the game, I thought it got worse. I couldn't understand how we ended up playing with the two right wingers basically playing in the same side on the right. I couldn't understand that at all.
Yeah, it was a strange one. So before the game, Derek McInnes confirmed that Vanya would be playing at right back. So McCrory's clearly carrying an injury if he's not able to start the game.
So let me jump in there. The other issue you've got before we go any further is Sterling's always carrying an injury. Sterling's he's always 2 games and then he's going to be unfit the third game, so that's not good enough. So there's not enough cover.
Yeah, McInnes effectively said previously, or traditionally was the word that he used. He can't play 3 games in a week. I'm sorry, but you're at Rangers. Can't play 3 games in a week. You're not a first choice, a first team player. That's not good enough. It's not down to the player's choice, but his body's not robust enough. A couple of people were saying last night, since he's been at the club, he's been available for an average of 15 games per season. I think we're down to just one plastic pitch now in Scotland, but he can't play in those, and he generally can't play 3 games a week because of his issues. We're in the second week of the season, and already his time's having to be managed.
Yeah.
But between Sterling and McCrory, those 2 options aren't good enough for right back. Late last night, we got another transfer link with a right back from Aston Villa. He'll be known to Vanya, a Serbian international right back. Rangers are supposed to be looking at a loan deal, but I was thinking last night, are we going to carry 3 right backs? Is that, should we be? Does it mean Sterling will possibly be moving on?
Yeah, who's going to buy Sterling? I don't really know, but he's a good
good
enough player. It's a good enough player, but who's going to buy in? The only team that seems to want to buy these players, it's not just 1 or 2, there's quite a lot that are never going to be fully fit for most of the season. So that's an interesting one. Do you know much about the Serbian boy?
In a word, no. So he's been at Aston Villa for the last couple of years, 2 or 3 years, but he's previously had some knee injuries. He spent time on loan, I believe, at Red Bull Leipzig. So he was in Germany last season. But he's played 11 times for the Serbian national team. So, and he's supposed to be quick, carrying a threat going forward. I really hope there's more to come from Ross McCrory. Just at the moment, he doesn't look right. What were people expecting? A steady right back, a more experienced player, but he hasn't really got going. And he's one of us. We all know him from his time at the club. Good professional and everything else, but we need a lot more than what we're seeing at the moment.
There is an argument that he's not even a right back, he's a right midfielder. I think we just need a traditional right back, somebody that's, I know they're hard to come by nowadays, guys like, guys left back, right backs, you get full backs, but guys like Stuart Monroe in the past who just basically come in and do a job. They don't have to be exciting football players. I think we need something like that. I think the defence is slowly coming together. But the right back position yesterday, when you've got 2 right backs, or what we think is 2 right backs on the bench, and then playing with the new midfielder at right back, it's just a concern. The shape of the team's a concern. Also, the speed of the team, I think they're really slow getting forward. It's almost as if the season hasn't started for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real concern.
Yeah. Pretty much, I hoped that yesterday could have turned the corner. That was the first of 4 home games in a row, including the European games to come. But it now just puts a real dampener on Thursday, albeit there's a massive expectation that needs to be met. It's the banner in the Coupland said yesterday, Thursday really is do or die.
Yeah, and it's all right talking about the great atmosphere, but it's going to be a bad atmosphere if the Polish team score first. Terry McInnes is going to know. Well, he already knows what it's going to be like, but these players that now are going to know all about it.
Or as you say, the play is very, very laboured, but too many questions all over the pitch. We don't have a centre half partnership. We're talking about the full back situation. I thought Romans was a bit better yesterday. In midfield, McInnes likes to play the 4-4-2, but Raskin and Devlin, that just can't work as a midfield two. There's no breaking the box. There's no getting forward. They're almost too similar. I think Devlin, had something. I saw a stat, something like 3 forward passes into the final third.
Seen it.
He's you know what you get with Devlin. He'll work hard all day. He'll battle for the ball, but we're Rangers at Ibrox. We need more than fighters and people putting out fires in the midfield. That's my worry. On the wings, McInnes, as we've seen already, plays with inverted wingers. I thought Yokota yesterday was probably our best player. He looks like he has a lovely, centre of gravity, change of balance. He worked hard. His move and cutback for Chimity was very good. Another right winger is due to come in, but with those guys having to cut inside, we do need our fullbacks, getting forward and being available on the outside to carry a threat and to deliver a ball. But all over the pitch, there are issues, there are questions. And now, we're holding our breath with Chimity on the scene that a club record bid is received. It never rains, but it pours.
You just had a feeling something like that would happen, though.
Unreal. He's stretching for the ball, and he's too. He's planted his foot and straight away he's hurt. So
it could be a really bad one, because if he's got that bad injury, then we'll lose out on that transfer. It's as simple as that.
Yes.
I wouldn't have played him. I would have actually played. Yesterday I would have played Miovski with the two wingers. I'd have played Miovski. I think he's more a natural goal scorer.
From the briefing from Chris Jack's report, the term used was Rangers are not accepting a fee nowhere near. So if that's 22 million quid, you would, by the sounds of that, they're looking for upwards of 25 and closer to 30, which is a big ask for a striker playing in Scotland, not even a year.
I was told yesterday by one of the boys that sits beside me, he's usually quite well informed. Now, I'm only passing on what he said to me. He said that Rangers are looking for 40 million for him. And that's why they didn't even entertain that bid. And that's incredible, because the position we're in just now, if we got 22 million for him, that would probably bring Lewis Ferguson in. And we're desperate for a box-to-box midfielder. And I still don't see a captain on the park. And that would have answered some questions for us. But I don't think we'll get any more than a 20, maybe 25 million at very most. Just now, he's not scoring goals in Scottish football now. So how's he going to increase in value?
It's that buzzword. It's the profile. He's young. He's strong. He's tall. He's athletic. His movement is good. The Premier League and the other top leagues, it's all about what they can maybe do and potential. The interest clearly there. It was interesting. I did an article last week on my site that there was reports that Besiktas were more interested in Galatasaray, but one bid has landed. Another bid might come in, but not if Chimity's season's finished, which it could be. If that's an ACL, his season's done.
It was certainly looked a bad injury.
So he's in the boot and he's got the brace on. Today, as soon as possible, that's going to be scanned. But if we get away with that, we'll be fortunate. But when I mean get away with it, you may be talking out for a month if things are okay. But it looked a bad one straight away. So if he is out, then we're needing another striker.
Yeah,
I think we could be doing. At the moment, there's 4 strikers there. Some people say maybe Naderi could be doing with going out on loan. I think there's more to come from him. There's more in him, but whether he's capable and able to perform now is another question. I think we could be doing with a pacey option up front. At the moment, have with somebody for a ball in behind. We don't always get space in league games, certainly not at Ibrox, to run into. But I think we could be doing with a pacey option up front. Referee, we can't gloss over that.
Yeah.
That was an awful decision yesterday. What was almost worse than the decision itself was the length of time. Something like 2.5 minutes to pull that back. And yes, Dragojevic, it wasn't clever. But, he's not looking at the ball. He's too occupied with his man. But in the end, the guy's arms are around Dragojevic's head, and then they're pulled down. We go up the other end. Raskin bumped in the box. Didn't seem to look at all.
Play on as quick as you could.
More of the same nonsense and inconsistency. For me, it's an issue that the referee. I don't buy into. It may not be unpopular. I don't buy into a conspiracy. I just think the refs are terrible. The standard is awful across the board. If Scotland's serious, and how can it be with people, in charge at the SPFL and the SFA? But if Scotland's serious, your referees need to be full-time and they need to be better. But the buck just keeps being passed. We go from one season to another with ridiculous decisions. It's not good enough. It's an absolute disgrace. And it kind of changed the tone. It changed the atmosphere in the stadium yesterday. It set them back. We were sort of doing okay up to that point. And, it just, everybody was just scuppered by it. And it's really, really not good enough.
The thing for me, though, was the fact that it wasn't, I thought the referee had a stinker, but it was the VAR team that called that back. And it was maybe about, I haven't watched the game back. I haven't got the patience to watch it back, but I'm guessing it was about 1.5 minutes or a minute at least longer. After the instant, longer. So the question would be, a good number, right enough. 2.5 minutes to make a decision just shows you I'm going to ask a question here that everybody would be thinking. Would that be the case where do people honestly think that they're going to go back 2.5 minutes for a Rangers decision and give them it? Because that's what everybody does think. It seems to be that they're looking for a reason to make it a penalty. Even if it is a penalty, the games went on. Now, I don't think it was a penalty. I thought it was a ridiculous decision. But the fact that they went on, they've moved on from that, and they're still looking for a reason to get a penalty is where I'm really concerned with the VAR team. But the less it's challenged by Rangers, the more it will continue.
The thing is, but devil's advocate, what can the club do ultimately? Yes, I'm not saying you just say nothing and accept it. The club need to be vocal, but ultimately it's up to the people that run the game.
Well, I think they could. Just to go back to what you're saying, my opinion on it, I think they could be more vocal on it on a weekly basis. Celtic put pressure on a weekly basis. They should every single week now be asking that we're going to have a strong VAR team. I've never heard them say that. We hear the strong refereeing team. It was the VAR team that made that decision. The referees just took the cupboards right out. And we should be insisting on a strong VAR team, insisting, that Jim Gillespie spoke about a kind of conference on it to discuss it. to get the refereeing and the VAR up to date. We should be talking about that on a more regular basis, and we should be asking the questions. We should be asking more questions on the officials, I think. There's maybe a little we can do about it, but we should at least be putting the pressure on them, because as soon as that went to VAR yesterday, everyone in the stadium knew, and that's what we're talking about a gun and a downer. Everybody knows that's a penalty because it's Rangers.
Yeah, Robertson has to be much stronger.
Coward.
In real time, he's looking, clear and obvious. Was it?
Well, if it's clear and obvious, why did it take 2.5 minutes to decide?
Exactly. I don't buy in. I don't think that was the reason that we lost yesterday, or the things were so poor. But
it helped the players go into a downer.
Absolutely.
We're far too slow going forward still anyway. We've still got mistakes in the defence. We're far too slow going forward. The only real positive in the game for me yesterday was I thought Yakota had a good game. He can't be 90 minutes fit yet, fit for 90 minutes yet, because I would never have took him off. He got the man of the match and he created a lot of chances, but there was quite a lot of times in the game where I sat in the main stand, you can see it. We played everything through the left for the majority of the game, I felt, and left him out. We should have been playing more balls to him and used him more. He's got a future in the game, definitely, the young lad. But other than that, McCann, not a bad game, a bit better defensively and a bit more settled, but there was nothing exciting. Rangers just don't look deadly at all up front. They don't look dangerous. Strikers who can't score goals, defenders that are no great at defending, and a midfield that looks out of place.
But apart from that, we're a mess. That's simple as that. We're 10th of August today. Questions all over the pitch. No one single part of the team is settled. Questions everywhere. Even in the case of Dragujevic, he's come on in midweek in Poland, been asked to do a job, and then all of a sudden he's then starting at right back. I don't want to see that again. We're yet to properly see him in midfield. Diomande looks like he's gone, and
he's Oscar, I think
it's the right time to sell him. He hasn't kicked on, from he arrived. What is his real strength? What does he excel at? What does he really do? We need, if we're going to improve, we need better players. We need more consistent players. The fees in and around 4.5 million. Apparently, that's what's been reported. It says it all that a small club in Turkey are looking to buy him. If he goes, yes, he's contributed more than some, but not really going to be a big loss in my opinion. Hopefully that can allow the likes of Dragujevic to properly get a look.
Yeah. But as you said, we need to play Dragujevic in his correct position. This is something Rangers have done for years, playing players out of position. Diamande, we know Diamande. Well, the club must have known there's a bid coming in for Diamande yesterday, so why play him? He's not exactly a match winner. Why risk it?
He has featured, from through pre-season. Mm-hmm. One of the things is Derek McInnes has wanted, as he does, he plays with a left-footed player on the right, but the balance hasn't really been there. He's been doing a job, so to speak, but one game to the next, I'm fairly confident that the personnel in the midfield will change again for Thursday. Then we'll have, our vice captain, Dan Needle, who was nowhere to be seen yesterday. Not that I'm saying he would have, impacted the game or changed the game, but there's another slow starter, a guy coming in, and I like that he was coming from Sunderland, from the northeast, another hotbed of football. He had done okay there. He was on loan at Ipswich last season, but I'm not writing him off yet. But another guy from England who has come in and has really struggled to make an initial impact. and to show what he's about.
So
and again, it goes back to the recruitment. You know, if
that's what I was going to say.
Questions all over the pitch, how many of our new signings can you say have hit the ground running? It can take a bit of time for some players, but we shouldn't be buying players and thinking, oh, we'll need to wait till October, we need to wait till Christmas. Good players can play. You know, we see already with Yokota, you know, he doesn't always come off, but he's trying. He's tricky, he's able, he's doing his job already. But can't say that of too many others.
Yeah. So, I mean, Derek McInnes has spoken about, he's been quite vocal about this, the fact that he needs more players in. I'm not using that as an excuse, but to be fair, he does need more players in. And it's like a cry for help to me now. He's made it clear he's not asking the fans to be patient at anything. So that must be the board that he's speaking about. AGM's coming up today. Time might be against him here, or time is against him, right? It's all right saying he'll get players by the end of the transfer window. The way this is going now, if you remember last season, the fans are baying for blood last season. And if we don't get a victory on Thursday and qualify, then he might not be there long enough to get new players because it's American owners. Things are different nowadays. How do we get these players in quick enough for them? Do we have to sell before we can buy? Is that the position we're in? And if that is the case, why play Shermiti? Because it doesn't make sense. The Shermiti game yesterday, doesn't it?
No,
doesn't make sense.
I don't believe that we're in that position. Part of me worries that there's going to be a bit of panic and there'll be money thrown at the team. We clearly need an influx of quality, 3-4 players.
We need a match winner
to raise the level. However, even if you bring in 3 individuals today, what team unit are they coming into? How does individuals? The team unit is awful at the minute. There's no control of games, and to win the league, you need to control games and you need to put games to the sword. We've won one league title in 2021 since 2011.
We've won one league game in the last 8 games in the league. We've won one.
But the issue for me, yes, we still need players in key positions. You know, we really need a strong command in centre half. We need another right winger and a left winger. We might need another striker, depending on the situation with Shermiti. But as it stands now, then you're asking people to come in and do something. You know, it's not a case of they're coming into a team that's well drilled, that's playing well, that knows what it wants to do, and that can carry that out. That's the bigger issue for me. You know, you can always sign another player in the transfer window, sign another player, spend more money. But what are they coming into? You know, how do they be successful? And in the case of the winger from PSV, Troyek, it seems we're still vying with Celta Vigo. Everybody's not feeling good on a Monday morning. My good pal Ron in Eindhoven, you know, his first words to me was he needs space. He's not great one-on-one. And straight away you go, oh, you know, when I heard that, I got Matondo vibes. You know, you see the YouTube reel, absolutely rapid, you know, could win a 100-meter sprint, you know, in no time. But even a player like that, a winger.
It's a great point you're making. We're going to have to identify what style of play we're doing. McInnes is going to have to nail it, and maybe this will be hard, but we'll need to decide what style of play, what formation, and stick with it. And he's going to try and have to find a regular 11, maybe not exactly 11, but as close to that as possible.
Well, that in itself, you know, is another question for the AGM today, Sai, or for the shareholders meeting, as it's officially known.
Yeah,
we've, you know, in the space of a year, we've ripped up the plan twice. We're on to a third. We had a manager, then a a head coach, well, two head coaches and a manager, if you like. We have the all singing, all dancing philosophy that Russell Martin was supposed to bring. That was ripped up. We went for Danny Rule. He comes from the Red Bull model, and then changed the game. Derek McInnes, more of a direct style. What are we doing as a club? How can we keep changing from window to window, needing to identify different types of players, and then needing to almost change the squad to fit a new coach or a new manager? There's too much instability. I was thinking yesterday during the game, who is making the big decisions upstairs? Who's the football man? Where is the football knowledge, the football brain leading the club? What do Rangers want to be in 2026? Yes, we need to win league titles. We need to be relevant. We need to be dominant and competitive in Scotland. But what's the plan? What do we want to be as a football club? Where are we going? Because if we're changing managers not even every 12 months, every 18 months, but if we're going from one idea to another, that doesn't reflect well on the club overall.
Our future.
The Americans, Kavanagh and his associates, I noticed yesterday, Parag Marath was at the game as well. He'll be at the shareholders meeting. I don't doubt their intentions. By and large, they've backed the people in charge of the team, the managers that we've had. However, what are you doing? Where are we going? What is the plan? At the moment, and it worries me, Si, some of the decisions over the last two games, it's like throwing brown stuff at a wall and hoping that something sticks. There's no control, there's no cohesion, there's no consistency. In the second week of the season, come on.
It's certainly not looking good. Now, there's something that the fans keep talking about. We've spoken about it, and it's not going away, mate. The Rangers support weren't ready, Purdy and Thelwell Jr. That's not changing. Every time Rangers get a bad result now, that's going to be the topic of conversation. I'm going to ask you a question. What you were alluding to a minute ago, do you think we should go back down the director of football road and it should be a proper football man? Because that might be the only way out of this. Getting a proper Rangers football man like Davy Weir as a director of football and getting rid of these two guys who, I don't know what the end game is with them, but they seem to be going in a similar market. I don't know if it's the same agents all the time, but I have a feeling it would be. And they're identifying the wrong type of players for Rangers and the Scottish League. In other words, they don't get it, or they probably don't really care because they'll be on a fortune. I would look at maybe the director of football cell and get somebody who's a proper football and Rangers man in to assist Eric.
I think at the moment, everybody wants to lash out and for good reason. Sitting here right now, I can't tell you what it is that Purdy and Thelwell have been doing or what they are doing. What we can all see is that the recruitment isn't good enough. And the manager is part of that. You hear this collaborative approach. Since late last year, Stig Inge Bjornaby has been in a senior role. So we need to hear more about the work that's actually going on and the decision making. What they're doing. And he's been involved at different clubs before in Scandinavia. And what is he doing? How are we identifying players and profiles? But for me, again, and sorry to sound repetitive, is that what are Rangers as a team, as a club? Stuart there's mentioned Clement. I think Clement is suited to a club like Norwich in that particular league, but Clement's teams couldn't control games in Scotland. They couldn't. It was shown. Initially things looked good. The wheels came off quickly. Maybe the right guy at the wrong time. He certainly was hard done by. In a lot of ways, had a lot to deal with. there wasn't much support above him, and then there was the Hamden debacle
Yeah.
at the start of two seasons ago, not last year, the year before.
He would have a good argument. If you ever had a drink with him in the pub and he talked about Rangers, he'd have a good argument of why he was held back. However, the Queen's Park result, you're never coming back for that.
Yeah, and the capitulation at Dundee and the Ross County that ended that campaign. But just going back to what you're saying there, in terms of a director of football, I don't necessarily insist or believe that we need a Rangers man, or we need a football man. We need someone who's equipped to deal with the challenges. The league, Scotland, is a priority. Europe's great, but we need to know what we're doing before we can have any ambitions of doing anything in Europe. I think
But also, mate, the squad is nowhere near strong enough for Europe and the Scottish League. Nowhere near it.
But the thing is, it's going to have to be. It isn't. Whether it's Europa League or even Conference League, if things don't go wrong on Thursday, the games pile up. And even we know what we're all like. Even when we say, "Oh, the league's a priority," Europe doesn't matter. When the games come around, every game matters at Rangers. We want to win. We want to get far in Europe, and this new league phase, with Europa League, you should. Last year was an absolute disaster. We need to be doing better. You need to be looking at getting to the knockout stages.
And we're heading for that again. If we do manage to qualify, we'll be heading for that again unless we get quality. I can't see any real. That's maybe the best term to use. I can't see any real quality in that team. Anybody that gets me off my seat and I think he's going to win a match for us. And dare I say it, the only player yesterday that looked that way, Yakota had a great game, but the only player that looked like winning the match for us was Asgard, who had a nightmare the week before.
Yeah, and that's the inconsistency. He scored that great goal up at Tannadice. And then in Poland last week, it looked like it was the first time he'd seen of football. Came back on yesterday and he looked decent. And he gives you that thrust from middle to front. He can carry a ball. He can hit a shot. This sounds really bad, but see, at the moment, I would even take if we were watching a 1980s Wimbledon team, that launched the ball. If it was the goalie kicking it up to Mark Haitley to knock it down to Super Ali. But give me something to see, give me something to get behind. Not that I want us to be shelling balls all game and just to be playing Route 1 football, but with Derek McInnes, it is direct football. It is what it is. We all saw his Hearts team last season. By and large, it works, albeit, they had their struggles away from home, but you're in your dream job. You need to find a way. You need to make it work. You need to show your worth. So I'm sure the manager's waking up this morning, feeling.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I'm not using this in any way as an argument, not an argument, as a defence for Derek. However, he made a point in that another day would have won that game, probably. But what happens in football is, see when luck's for you. If your luck's going for you, the one that's kicked off the line, hitting the bar, things like that, you score them, right, and they go in. But the reality of football is when luck's going against you, they don't win, and you need to find a way to score. And I don't think we've got any. We don't have anybody that finds a way to win.
Yes, and that
would find a way to lose. Aye.
And that would be okay if yesterday's performance was the exception to the two that came before it, but it hasn't been. It's been more of the same. So if you want to take yesterday in isolation, we were unlucky. Terrible decision that gets the opener for Hibs. We had chances, But
ultimately, nobody cares. They got beat. Being unlucky doesn't matter. They got beat.
Yeah. First home game of the season. It just adds to the growing pressure. Next up, Jagiellonia on Thursday, followed by St Mirren in the League Cup. on Sunday. St Mirren will be open. They'll press. Already. Well, not already, but continuing on from last season, there aren't many teams now that are going to come and park the bus.
They've nothing to lose.
Rangers are there to be got at. Rangers are vulnerable. Rangers can be exploited. McInnes's job is to turn that around, to stop that. You would
If
think
if they come to Ibrox and they get humped, they can come out and someone would turn around and say, well, somebody was going to get it because they were going to come good eventually. So they've got nothing to lose to come at Rangers. And if you come at Rangers and score first, I think there's a mentality issue.
Undoubtedly. We've seen it over recent seasons. A lot has been made, and the likes of Shankland's, McCrory, some would say Dan Neil, it was about bringing in players that, can deal with high pressure environments, that know the club.
And it's the same old song.
Yeah, but good players change things. How do we change things ultimately? By winning trophies, by lifting shiny silver things. We need better players to raise the standard of the team. I've spoke about my issues and the issues that there are with the team unit. That is clear, but people are asking about Majowski, and to an extent, he possibly does deserve a chance, but that's just another symptom. The team isn't playing well. We don't look like a team.
Yeah.
We don't quite know what we're doing. We don't have a settled 11. So the issues run much bigger than, who one or two players that aren't playing. But
the style of football and the type of players is the biggest problems we seem to have now. The mentality. Derek McInnes. If Derek McInnes can't fix the mentality issue, then he'll be a Rangers player. Then we've got real problems.
But again, for me, so it comes down to, would our players get on? We don't compare ourselves to Celtic, but the reality is, they've been winning the league titles and gathering them up. If you want to win league titles, if you want to be better than them, you need to have better players. It's very simple. We're not signing enough players who are capable of showing that they are better than them, going and beating them, going and putting the winning runs together. And ultimately, if you don't buy better players, if you can't coach players to a better level, you're not going to get better. And it's just Groundhog Day. We keep bringing in new managers, new coaches. There's the wee bit of optimism. I really want us to do well. We all do. He's a Rangers man. He's a local man. You look at him on the sideline, he looks every bit a Rangers manager. But it's okay looking the part and talking a good game. We need to see progress. We need to see results. And ultimately, and he knows, managers will live and die by results. The current situation can't continue. He will get time. We don't play again in the league until Aberdeen at the end of the month. And with a wee bit of time off in terms of the league, that doesn't stop the pressure. We've got Europa League, League Cup, then either Europa League playoff or Conference League. We need to get wins on the board. If we were still going into September and things haven't changed, then we have a real problem. And it's not just about money and throwing money at it, because it doesn't always work. In certain cases, we need to buy quality, but the club also needs to be finding quality. The club also needs to be making the current players better. But we can talk and add up the current problems. We need solutions. We don't have enough solutions and answers right now.
Short term, they need victories. They need to find a way to win. It doesn't matter how they win. They need to start winning now.
Yeah, McInnes, he needs to buy time. You buy time by winning games. Thursday's more than salvageable. That Polish team were no great shakes. I thought they could have gone for us when we were vulnerable. Last Thursday, they could have caused more damage. They should have scored again. Thankfully, they didn't. If we can score first, get an early goal, that changes things, or level, changes the complexion of the tie. In a qualifier, we saw before a couple of years ago against Servette, returned the tie around. I think, was that a draw in Switzerland, or a narrow defeat? But
it can't happen. Yeah, I agree with you, mate. But I'll need to watch my time here. And I remember when I said to you last night, do you want to come on the show? Don't worry, it'll not be too depressing. You'll only go on for 25 minutes.
Well, it's
so much to talk about.
It's therapy this morning, isn't it? We're ranting, we're giving off, and for good reason.
Yeah, but listen, it's been great to hear from you again, mate. Lots of great points, good, great knowledge of football, but great passion is a big thing for us in Gers TV. We'll have a chat through the week again if it's all right, and hopefully we get answers at the AGM or the general meeting today. Something needs to change, and it needs to change quickly because the fans are really, really frustrated now. Have
Absolutely.
a good day, guys, and thank you very much for coming on the show. Thanks, Graham.
Cheers.
Cheers, and thanks for everybody that's watched. Quick like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.